Welcome to Taxi Talk, brought to you by Take Me, made for taxi drivers across the UK. Each month, we will bring you the latest taxi news, tips and insights to boost your business. Real talk from drivers and industry experts, a dash of fun, and plenty of chat. It's your show, your voice, your industry. Taxi Talk. Let's get rolling.
Yes, hello and welcome to the very first edition of Taxi Talk. We're going to be bringing you all the latest news, views, gossip, hints and tips from the taxi trade each episode. So do stay tuned and subscribe to us. Now today, good news, we've got lots of things coming up. We've got some video clips and info from the ICABI event, Women in Taxi, that happened just last week up in Liverpool. We've got some exciting news about some fundraising, and we've got some questions from a couple of drivers. But before we get into that, I'm going to add in Nigel Ord and Ben Hartshorn. Good day to you, chaps. How are you both?
Hi, Phil. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Well, let's start off with some introductions. Thank you, Nigel. Let's start with you, Nigel. Tell us a little bit, Nigel, about who you are and what you do as a job.
So I'm Nigel Ord. I'm the National Recruitment and Retention Manager. So I work with the different offices and sites we've got around the country, helping them recruit and hopefully retaining the drivers that we do recruit.
Lovely. And Ben, talk us a little bit briefly about yourself and your job.
Yeah, so I'm General Manager for Leicestershire at the minute. I oversee local operations, working with drivers and customers to ensure smooth operations.
And both of you, I know, have been taxi drivers in the past. Ben, quite recently, you were still out doing the driving.
Yes, I was. I still do a little bit now, but yes, I've progressed from a driver, then to driver manager, and now general manager. So yeah, I've experienced both ends of the working day, really. And
again, Nigel, I know back in your past, before you got into all the recruitment for taxis, you've done a lot of taxi driving yourself.
Yeah, again, I came into the industry quite late, but I started as a driver, similar to Ben. I became driver manager, general manager, and now I'm on the national recruitment team. So as a company, we like to sort of promote from within. Guys that have got their hands dirty and can understand issues that drivers may have from a driver's perspective.
Fantastic. So the whole point of Taxi Talk is to bring, like I say, hints, tips, gossip, things that will help taxi drivers and anybody connected with the taxi driver. So I've got a question that's been sent in to us by a taxi driver. So this is Jamie, and let's hear what his question is. He wants some help with this, and I want to know what you guys think.
I've got a question to ask. What are the pros and cons of short and long journeys?
So that was Jamie. He's asking us there. Let's start with you, Nigel, on this. What's better, short or long trips? I know that within the industry, it's always some of those. Some drivers like short, some like long. What's your thoughts on that one, Nigel?
From a driver's point of view, from myself, I always prefer the short journeys. For those that don't know how pricing's made up, generally our first mile will be the most expensive mile, and it will go down there afterwards. And this is the same for on a meter or any private hire. So I'd say average across the country, £3.50 to £4.50 first mile, £1.20 to £1.80 for that mile afterwards. So the reality is, whether your job's 100 miles or whether it's 2-3 miles, I would prefer to make the money up by shorter journeys. For the reasons I've just said there, you can make it quicker in some respects. If you want to look at the dark side of the industry, people do runners. If you haven't taken the money up front to lose a big amount on a longer journey, I know we don't want to lose money, but you'd rather lose a fiver than a 550, whatever. So that's my personal point of view on it. I like the long journeys. It's nice to get the car out, get the cobwebs off, and I'm still in the manual, so just in one gear and drop down the motorway. But that's my own preferences.
So that's an interesting take on it. Ben, I'm interested. Last year, I don't think I'm letting cats out of the bag here, but last year, Ben, I actually booked you as the first time we ever met was when you were my taxi driver. And I booked you to pick me up and take me to Heathrow for a long haul flight, which from a passenger's point of view, I couldn't be bothered to drive. I knew it was an early start. I knew I'd be shattered when I come back from America. So I thought I'd book a taxi, and you were my driver, and it was a pleasure because I literally was asleep, I think, both ways. But some drivers do prefer those long hauls.
Well, my answer would be I like both. You know, obviously, a driver is a small independent business, and what I like to see is an average fare over the week as opposed to assessing individual fares. So I always found it best that, you know, a long journey and smaller journeys would average out over a week, because there's pros and cons to both. Obviously, short journeys, you've got quick turnover if you're working in busy periods. Long journeys, you sort of know what you're doing for the day. You know, you've got that journey, and you've almost got your work in front of you for that day. So it can be quite relaxing in that way. But yeah, so there is pros and cons to both.
And Ben, do you find that obviously managing drivers around the Leicestershire region, do you find you get to know some drivers prefer doing lots of short ones, and some they're your go-to guys for like the long hauls, the airport runs?
Obviously, everyone sees the long journeys because of the higher fare. But again, with the message we try and get across to drivers is you need to consider your average fare over a week, over 2 weeks, not try and assess each fare individually, because it won't work out like that as operating your small independent business.
So that's interesting. So if you're watching this, do let us know either in the comments or send us a message and let us know if you prefer short or long trips. Now, Nigel, part of your role is in recruitment. And again, I just wanted to touch on, and we've got a video to play very shortly, about recruitment. Women in taxis has become more and more a thing over the last couple of years, which has been great. And I know within the Take Me industry, for example, there's been a real drive on getting women to become drivers. Just talk us through some of that.
So yeah, again, you're right. I think the official stats came through. I think 7% of taxi drivers are female. That's nothing really, is it? So we're trying to actively recruit ladies to come and join us. There has always been a call for women drivers, single females themselves, make it a little bit more secure. Same with the children as well. So yeah, we're trying to promote more and more women to come into it. One of the obstacles in some ways is when you do speak to some ladies, I don't want to work with all these aggressive drunks, they don't have to. We do have certain contracts. So we'll have school contracts, we'll have hospital contracts. It's not that we're going to force them to work nights with, loud drunks or aggressive people. So again, they can kind of choose how they work with us as well. And again, as is typical in sort of the family makeup, it's generally the female that deals with the children.
Yeah.
So again, I have young children myself, so got to get them to school. You've got limited hours. So again, working with us, you can fit in. You can have your life around us. You can you need to do log on between the school runs and so on, or when your partner comes home.
And of course, when we talk about women in taxi, yes, many start, like all of us have done in the taxi industry, start off driving and doing that side. But last week, I was lucky enough to go up and do some filming at the iCabby event, which was in Liverpool. Women in Taxi, it was titled, and obviously it was to partly celebrate International Women's Day. But I just want to play you guys a video from it. There's some fascinating insights, and it showcases the day and some video interviews with some of the women that are high up in the taxi industry now.
Hi, I'm Jodie from Take Me. I'm really proud that Take Me are one of the headline sponsors of the Women in Taxi event today with iCabby. So why don't you come inside and have a look round?
You get to meet people, you speak to so many people in this trade because it's very remote, a lot of the taxi trade, unless you're a driver. So having these events and getting people working together.
to be able to share my story here today with all these inspirational women here that work in the taxi industry. And I'll be telling them about how my journey began in Asia with the little pink tuk-tuks and how we're now working with fleets across the UK.
There are nowhere near enough women within the industry. Female drivers make absolutely wonderful drivers. They've got every skill that you need and more. And I think that there's always been a bit of a boundary there with safety and security, and whether the job is actually for a woman. And I've just proven, and we've all proved that actually, yes, it is.
We've always kind of been in the background, and I think a lot of the groups, especially the Take Me group, etc., have realised that we are just as valuable in the foreground, and they're utilising that.
Wow, what an absolutely amazing time that we've all had today, and such a special day as well. Surrounded by so many influential women within the industry, and it's so lovely that we can all celebrate together. This year's has been even bigger than last, and I can't imagine how next year's going to be. What a brilliant day. Thank you, iCabby, and thank you, Take Me.
So yeah, that was a fantastic event up in Liverpool. The sun was shining. The ladies were enjoying themselves, and it was great to see and hear their stories, because many of them started not knowing anything about the taxi industry, became a driver, and then, you know, quite quickly rose up amongst the ranks and are now leaders within the taxi industry. Ben, I just want to move that on slightly. We've talked about women in the taxi again.
Yeah.
There's quite a push as well for taxi drivers to come from all ages, all backgrounds, and that 50 plus age that I'm now into is quite a good, people looking at semi-retirement as well. It's quite a good lifestyle for people looking for that flexibility, isn't it, Ben?
Well, obviously, yeah, because our dispatch side runs through an app these days. So, you know, you have got that flexibility to switch on and off when you choose. Obviously, there are busy periods that you might want to work to increase your earning potential, but the flexibility again is completely down to you and how you want to run your sort of small independent business, really.
Absolutely. Now we're going to move on, because we've got another question from a driver here. So I'm going to play you the question, and I want to get some answers from you. I don't know the answer to this. I think it's one thing, but let's see what the actual thing is. So this is another driver sending us in this question.
I've got a question for you. I always do wear my seatbelt, but as a taxi driver, do I actually need to? I'm just a bit curious about that one.
So there we go. A question: should a taxi driver wear a seatbelt or not? Now, I'm not a taxi driver, and I've got limited knowledge about it all. I guess I sort of think, I don't know, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But let's start with you, Nigel, on that. Should a taxi driver wear a seatbelt?
The answer is yes, unless they've got a passenger on board. They can choose then not to wear it. Again, a safety issue, should they need to exit the vehicle very quickly. You know, just even a few seconds and plug in the seatbelt. So yes, there are some councils that say that you don't have to wear them when you're applying for hire. So again, as Ben will tell you, not all councils are exactly the same, but that's the majority of it. Yes, if you don't have your seatbelt on, might have got a passenger on board. The applying for hire would only be a hackney and not a private hire.
So Ben, this is an interesting one. What's your take on that? Obviously, there are rules to be followed. Nigel said there that, you know, if you've got passengers in the back and need to make a sharp exit, then there are there are some areas. Are they grey areas, Ben, or is this very clear? And do many taxi drivers have this question?
I'm not sure if they are aware. Obviously, the legal standpoint is, if you're carrying passengers, then you don't need your seatbelt on. But as a driver, human, creature of repeatability, wearing a seatbelt, I just naturally put it on these days. So when I'm in that car, I don't feel right if it's not on. So personally, from my own safety point, I would wear a seatbelt. But the legal standpoint is that when you're carrying passengers, you don't need to have that on.
I think, Ben, from a customer's point of view, if I was sat in the back of a car and my driver didn't have a seatbelt on, I would be slightly like, what's this guy doing? Because from a customer's point of view, I just assume, like you say, the law would be that you have to wear a safety belt, and that for your own safety you'd wear it. But so I don't know if it might confuse customers.
I agree. Possibly we could introduce some signs there to explain that to customers, because if a customer did get in the car and the driver's not got the seatbelt on, they might consider them as reckless, or a reckless driver. They're not considering the safety. So maybe that is a good point to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, guys, we're going to move on to the next topic. I was very, very lucky the other day that we managed to capture up with David Hunter and Mary Story, who now many people within the taxi industry will have heard over the last 12 to 18 months about the Rosie May Foundation. It's a very sad story, but there is lots of positivity coming out about it now, which is really interesting. It's great to see taxi companies all around the UK getting involved with what Mary and the Rosie May Foundation are doing. But I don't want to tell you too much more. I'm going to pass it over to David Hunter to tell you more and have a chat with Mary herself indeed.
I am David Hunter, CEO of Take Me, and I'm delighted to be joined by the very famous now, Mary. She's been on the One Show very recently, lots of media, working with just about everyone, the who's of the taxi industry. And I'm so pleased to have her here because we've got some exciting news, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got some amazing news, David, which is, ta-da! Ta-da! We've just returned back from Nepal, and we have met the woman driver with her brand new spanking pink tuk-tuk, which has been fundraised and donated by Take Me Group.
Which is great news for our team, because I know they've been working so hard. It's been appearing on our socials, and so we've been pushing the book, and internally the sites have been doing some fundraising. So that's our first tuk-tuk out of 3 that we promised you, and it is only the start of the year, isn't it?
And the difference that it's made to that woman and her family, and actually the whole community, is just so tangible. It's increased her earnings, her self-respect, her self-esteem, her social mobility's gone through the roof. They're now calling her for emergency services to take women in labour in the middle of the night. It's just an incredible, very tangible impact. Excellent. So thank you.
Oh, no, that's amazing. So we truly are international. I can see the little Take Me logo on there. And best of all, it's electric. So tick, our ESG rating has just gone up by one vehicle. So, and what's the range on that?
It's about 100k.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and they do go quite a distance. Because these are rural communities, so they do need, to be able to do that. But they're just plugging them in at home and to recharge, and it's working really well.
Will she have much training, or is it's the case of there's the tuk-tuk, off you go? Or she...
No. She has training. These women actually learn to drive. So these women didn't even drive previously, let alone have a driving license. So they learn to drive to local driving school, and then we help them with the practice and obviously, how they operate the vehicle, customer service, everything. They have a team on the ground that they can go to with any repairs or maintenance. So David, the women like to name their tuk-tuks, and obviously the Take Me tuk-tuk driver would like to name her vehicle. Have you got any ideas about that?
What can we call it? Pink tuk-tuk. It's great, isn't it? I tell you what, why don't we get you guys to choose a name? So all we're after in the comments below is some great ideas for female Rosie May tuk-tuk. So have a think.
Think pink.
So Ben and Nigel, you know what I'm going to ask you in just 1 minute, so get your thinking caps on. That was great to hear from David and Mary talking about obviously raising the money to buy the first pink tuk-tuk over in Nepal, which again, I know there's like a credit crunch and all sorts of financial issues over here, but over there, these are lifelines for the women who start driving them and then helping their local community. But I'm going to start with you, Ben. Have you got any names for a pink tuk-tuk that would be running around in Nepal?
It's got to be a puk-puk, hasn't it?
A pardon?
Everyone likes a good puk-puk.
You be careful how you say that. Well, but maybe that's the right name. Nigel, how about you? Have you got anything for us?
I think we just call it Ben the Pink Tuk-Tuk.
I think I'm the same shade anyway.
You are after calling it what you said. I'm not even going to try and repeat it. Listen, if you're watching this video or listening to the podcast, do let us know any fun names, silly names. There was, what was it? Boaty McBoatface was the famous one that we asked, that people asked to name it. It was this serious seafaring exploring ship. Do you remember it, Nigel? And they put it as a competition.
Did they actually name it? I think they did name it that because it was so popular, didn't they?
It was a proper competition, and Ben, I don't know if you remember it, but it was this Arctic exploring ship. I think David Attenborough was launching it, and it cost millions and millions of pounds. And they put a competition out. What should you name it? And I think everybody started voting for Boaty McBoatface. Do you remember that, Ben?
I didn't see that. No.
So you do have to be careful with these competitions. But anyway, listen. That was great to see that. I want to bring it back to a bit of a different topic here. We've got David Laurie going to join us very, very shortly. But again, I'll ask Ben, I'll start with you from a driver's point of view. There's a lot of chat within the industry about CCTV or dash cams. Again, from a customer's point of view in the back seat, I would always assume that a driver would probably in today's world want to have CCTV dash cams, this sort of technology, partly for their own security, but partly for incidents and that. What's your thoughts on this before we hear from the industry expert, David Laurie?
Well, obviously CCTV is great for capturing things like disputes or concerns. You know, it's evidence you can go back to, isn't it? That if there is a dispute, is a way of settling the case basically on hard evidence. So yeah, it can be beneficial.
Nigel, your thoughts before we hear from David?
I totally agree, and I think I know what David's going to talk about, the legal ramifications of what is CCTV and where you could be held responsible for having a dash cam. But obviously I'll listen to the clip from David and see if I'm right.
Well, that's it. Every month, every time we do one of these podcasts, we're going to be bringing you some of the leading voices within the industry, hopefully passing on hints and tips. So let's hear from David Laurie himself.
Good morning. I'm David Laurie. I'm from Safe Systems CCTV, and we get asked quite often what is the difference between a CCTV and a dash cam. Ignoring the legislation for a moment, let's look at the fitness and propriety. Are they any good? Okay. If somebody is going to attack you, they're going to take that camera with them, along with all the evidence, and they're going to put it in their pocket. If somebody's going to report you for something, by the time you get to know about it, the data will have been overwritten. It will be gone, leaving you with no defense. Okay? To put it into perspective, a BMW does not run on BMX tires, does it? They go round and round. They do the same thing, but they're not fit for purpose in the wrong setting. It's as simple as that. So please be careful out there, be safe, protect yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that, Nigel, from what David said. He is one of the industry's big voices on CCTV dash cams and looking after drivers. We both, I know I've been with you before, Nigel, when we've looked at this system. It is very professional and it does work well.
Brilliant, yeah. It's really, really good. I mean, again, very early on, I had just a dash cam in and out. Thought, yes, brilliant. Again, didn't realise that I'm responsible. That SIM card's in that camera. I'm responsible for that information that's on there. So let's say something happened in the car beforehand, somebody steals that, they've got that data, could put it up on Facebook if somebody messing around in the car or being somebody who shouldn't be, just as a for instance. Whereas your proper CCTV systems, you don't have the storage within your vehicle, as far as I'm aware.
And Ben, from obviously managing a whole fleet in Leicestershire of taxi drivers, sadly there must be times where some of this would be invaluable sort of type of evidence and help drivers out.
Oh, of course, yeah. Obviously, insurance claims, non-fault accidents, being able to prove that is just a massive positive, really. And also peace of mind for the driver, because he can look back and see what actions have been taken, and because when you're in that incident, it's like a blur. It can be a blur. So being able to look back at it, I think, is a massive positive.
So again, we've covered lots of topics so far today. The CCTV, the women in taxis, some questions there, which is great. But we're going to end up with a little bit of fun, and I'm going to put you both on the spot. But the big question today is going to be, what's your favourite pie and football team? Now, before I get the answers from Nigel and Ben, we're running a competition, so I'm going to play the video for it, where people can win a season's worth of pucker pies and their very favourite football team's shirt. So let's just watch the video quickly, and then we'll come back and find out what the guys' favourite pies and football teams are.
Take me to the football. We've got a season's worth of pucker pies to give away, and win a football shirt of your choice. To enter, all you have to do is like and share this post, and in the comments, tell us which is your favourite pucker pie and which shirt you want to win. Don't forget, if you need a taxi to get you to the big match or to the pub to watch it, download our app or give us a call.
So there we go. I'm going to start off by saying my favourite pucker pie is without doubt a Balti pie. When I'm watching my team, which is Leicester City, at half-time. Well, this season, I've got to be fair, watching Leicester City, the only thing to look forward to is the half-time Balti pie. It's not been very good. So I guess I would still go for a Leicester City shirt if I was lucky enough to win, but it would definitely be a Balti pie. What about you, Nigel? What's your go-to pie?
I can't really say live on air, so I'm going to have to go with a steak pie. So see, I'm not really football, but I'm going to have to go with Accrington Stanley.
Who?
Why Accrington Stanley?
You're on to remember the advert, aren't you, Phil?
I am, but I want you to do it now, Nigel.
What? Go to Accrington Stanley? I can't remember it properly. It was about drinking milk, which is good for your teeth.
Yeah, but you've definitely not been drinking enough milk.
I'm not really a football man, but I'm glad you noticed it. No one else has. I'm not really a football man, but I'll go with Leicester City because I live in Leicester. I used to have the season ticket when the kids were little. I think the advert you're on about is when it was, I think it was Ian Rush, and some kid was drinking milk, and he was saying something like, you're not going I'm going to do a Scouse, probably shouldn't do a Scouse accent because I'll get in trouble. But he said, you could have played for Accrington Stanley or something, couldn't he? Ben. There is a clip out there.
I think he said, who are they?
Who are they? Yeah, who are they?
Exactly.
That's the one. You've got to be a certain age to remember that. Ben, what's your listen, I'm not saying you will love pies, but Ben, what is your favourite pie when you go and have one?
As you can tell, I do like a pie. I'm quite traditional, so it's got to be chicken and mushroom, I'm afraid.
Chicken and mushroom. So we've got steak and, is it just a plain steak, Nigel, or is it steak and ale?
Usually steak and kidney, and then steak. I was always picking the kidneys out, and so yeah, steak. Now, preferably steak. I like a chicken and mushroom. Yeah, pie's a pie.
Well, there we go. So we've got Ben would go for a chicken and mushroom. Nigel's just likes it meaty, likes a bit of steak. And I like a bit of spice just to keep me warm at half time because I'm normally falling asleep at Leicester. So a chicken Balti pie in there. Now, if you're watching this please do let us know. Of course, you can enter the competition just for a bit of fun. What's your favourite pucker pie, and what football team shirt would you like to win? And that about wraps up episode 1, chap. So thank you so much to Nigel for joining us, and to Ben. It's been great to have you guys on.
It's been great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much to them. Thanks to the drivers who sent us in the questions, and of course David Laurie, the industry expert who told us all a little bit more about CCTV and dashcams, and of course David and Mary chatting about the Rosie May Foundation. So look forward to seeing you all on the next edition of Taxi Talk. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you very, very soon.
Welcome to Taxi Talk, brought to you by Take Me, made for taxi drivers across the UK. Each month, we will bring you the latest taxi news, tips and insights to boost your business. Real talk from drivers and industry experts, a dash of fun, and plenty of chat. It's your show, your voice, your industry. Taxi Talk. Let's get rolling.